Hello, my fellow wizards. Badges in Wiz can be a fun way to show off your achievements and just generally flex on other players. When you've accomplished something particularly difficult or noteworthy in the game, you want everyone to know about it, and badges are one of the easiest ways to do so. The rarer and more difficult to get, the better. And don't get me wrong, while I love staring at the 1000th super unique 1 in a million badge on your average Wolf Stormblade, I think we can all do a little bit better. It's time to get some big boy and girl wizard badges, something truly special. So if you're looking to finally set aside your Hero of Unicorn Way badge and upgrade to something a little more impressive, stay tuned for the top 10 hardest badges to get in Wizard 101. Number 10, Master Pet Lover. According to the wiki, there are 927 first-generation pets currently in the game, which is kinda insane, and to get this badge, you're gonna need to get pretty close to all of them. Yep, the Master Pet Lover badge requires you to collect an eye-watering 850 different pets to earn it. Now, sure, there's plenty of pets you can hatch for in the kiosk, but there's also many pets that are crowns only, hybrids, exclusive, seasonal, or just plain rare to find, which means this badge could take quite a long time to earn, and that's without factoring in the cost of crowns and just straight up gold you'll need to hatch for them. For perspective, even if you hatch with another person, crowns pets can still cost 1,000 crowns or more to hatch for each time, and you're not guaranteed to get the correct pet body back. And while gold cost is generally cut in half when hatching with someone else instead of the kiosk, it's still not exactly cheap, averaging about 50,000 gold per hatch rather than over 100,000. And if that's the case, you're also stuck trying to hunt down people with the pets you want and getting them to agree to hatch with you, which can be a whole other headache to arrange. Plus, you'll need several houses worth of space to fit them all. I mean, I like pets as much as the next person, but 850 distinct different pets is a lot to ask for. I feel like anyone who pulls this off should get the badge Master Pet Hoarder instead of Lover, because you know they're going to be making a low-budget TLC show about you soon. Number 9, Pockets Full of Animus. Okay, no hate toward the monstrology lovers out here, but I just really can't get into it. I honestly did the tutorial quest for the fox lady, snatched a few lost souls, and then promptly forgot about the entire thing, but hey, I know there are some hardcore Animus fans out there, so this badge might be perfect for you. In order to earn the aptly named Pockets Full of Animus badge, you will need to acquire 20,000 Animus total. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like you need to worry about getting every type of Animus for this badge, just the 20,000 total. So if you want to exclusively grind out 20,000 lost souls, all the more power to you. Thankfully, the one saving grace is that you can increase the amount of Animus you get by timing your farming to coincide with the double monstrology member benefit and the triple Animus elixir to speed things up a bit. To be fair, I have seen some pretty amazing Animus decorations and housing tours, like people who get all the different dragons from Avalon, or some of the cooler bosses like Lord Nightshade, so I do understand the appeal, but 20,000 of anything is just mind-numbing, so I'd love to know if any of you insane people out there actually have this badge. Although, I might actually have to give monstrology another try, because I just found out while researching for this video that you can get summons like fellspawn, which is actually kind of fun. You know, just 19,999 more to go. Number 8, Deckathelite. I don't know why, but the pun for this badge makes me mad, and it gets even worse when you find out what you need to do for it. Deckathalon is another one of those events that I just tend to avoid like the plague. I'm just not a fan of having to get together a bunch of treasure cards and the grinding involved, but I know, just like monstrology, there are some people who genuinely enjoy it as an activity, so let's get into it. There are 7 different decathlons, one for each school in Wiz, and the Deckathelite badge requires you to finish all 7 of them within the top 10 scores. Yeah, this one is a tough one. I feel like this badge can be particularly hard to get for a couple of reasons. First, you're competing against other players rather than just grinding out a certain number like previous badges, so there's always going to be an element of luck rather than just pure time investment. I'm sure there are some hardcore decathlon veterans who pretty much always place high up and have a whole strategy for maximizing their points each run, so for more casual players who haven't had much experience getting in the event, they're pretty much screwed from working toward this badge from the get-go. You'll be working to dethrone some of the already existing top players, which just adds so much more difficulty. There's also just a straight up luck element to the actual event where sometimes you can just get really screwed by the RNG of what spells the enemies decide to use, or for instance, if your Maycast pet actually heals you at that crucial moment when you're low on health. So while there's strategies you can use to mitigate these issues, there will always be a degree of randomness in how well you do each run, so it won't always be possible to brute force your way to the top of the leaderboard. Then there's also the issue of timing. You need to place in the top 10 for all 7 of the decathlons, so if you miss out on getting the top 10 in, say, the fire decathlon, you're stuck waiting for it to become available again to get another shot at it. And since the decathlons don't run back to back, you may be waiting months and months for another opportunity. With all those factors combined, good luck earning this badge, and hey, with all that grinding, you might just get some neat Thanos-style gloves along the way. Number 7, head coach. This badge is interesting in that it requires you to take part in a rather niche side activity that I think a lot of people forget about, which also happens to be the bane of my existence, whirlyburly. If you don't know what this is, you might have just erased it from your memory in a desperate attempt at self-preservation, but whirlyburly is a minigame you can play in Velo City in the second part of Imperia, and I hate it. I hate it so much. If I had to describe it, it's like a mix of capture the flag and rock, paper, scissors. I'm not going to go into a whole deep dive on the rules or strategy, but essentially you have 3 different types of pieces, each of which can capture another type of piece like rock, paper, scissors, and your goal is to capture as many portions of the board as you can, as well as chests. There's also special cards you can use to get various advantages, and it's actually a pretty complex game, which might appeal to some people, just not me. So what do you need to do to get the head coach badge? You need to win 100 games of whirlyburly. Now that doesn't sound so bad, you might be thinking. 100 isn't that big a number. But I'm taking the stance that even winning 10 games of whirlyburly is asking too much, even for the stupid t-shirt you can buy. Each whirlyburly game lasts 9 rounds, and they are slow. So even just finishing 1 takes forever, let alone managing to actually win 100 of them. You're looking at a major time sink with this badge, and sometimes you're just going to be put in a bad position no matter what, depending on what the NPC opponents decide to do. I guess in theory, you could have a few friends join with you as a group and play against each other, so 2 of the teams purposely throw each match, but even if you go this route, it's still going to take a long time to get to 100, so I hope your friends are very patient people. Don't get me wrong, I think it's cool that KI came up with a brand new minigame. I just wish it didn't take forever to finish just 1 game, and that it wasn't a freaking requirement to progress through Imperia's story. Ain't nobody got time for that. For those of you willing to stick around and earn the head coach badge, you have my respect. Number 6, Team MVP. This one is just another huge time investment that many players just won't be up for. The MVP badge requires you to assist with teamup a grand total of 5,000 times. I feel like of the badges so far, this one is perhaps the easiest to work toward more passively, but it's still an insane amount of team-ups to do. You'll inevitably get points toward doing this just by questing or farming for other stuff because most players use team-up fairly regularly to have an easier time getting a group for various dungeons, but it's definitely still going to take you quite a while. For perspective, I play Wiz almost every day, and my main Storm Wizard only has 1,426 team-ups after many years. As far as I'm aware, you also need to join a team up through the team up kiosk to get the points rather than just joining at the sigil itself, which makes it a bit more annoying to gain points since I think the idea is that you are helping another player out through the kiosk rather than being the one asking for help if you join at a sigil. Another variable that can screw up your progress towards this badge is that if the player who initiated the team up request from the sigil isn't in the battle circle when the final enemy is killed, you won't get credit toward the badge. I see way too many max levels steamroll through low level dungeons and kill first turn without waiting for the person who needed help to join, so please don't do this, guys. You won't get points and the other player doesn't get the help they need, so it's just a lose-lose for everyone. Anyway, if you're willing to do the 5,000 team-ups, you'll get your MVP badge, as well as access to some other cool stuff like exclusive gear, a mount, pet, and the Old Town apartment for the various team-up badges, so at least you get other rewards as an added bonus for your efforts, and the satisfaction that you selflessly helped some other players out. Number 5, 1 in 100. This badge is just kind of a unique, quirky one that I stumbled across related to the bundozer boss in Mining Tunnel A in Caramel. There are actually a ton of bosses with unique badges in this world, but of the bunch, this one stood out for me as one of the more interesting to achieve. So to get the badge 1 in 100, you need to simultaneously have one wizard at full health and another one at less than 1% health while fighting the bundozer. Now, this can obviously take some very precise strategy and luck to pull off. First, the issue is figuring out how to get one wizard down to the correct health percentage without dying, since clearly if you're at 1% health, if the enemy so much as sneezes at you, you're probably dead, and most heals would bring you up past that 1% threshold again. However, the key here is to use the bundozer's own cheats against it. After 3 rounds, the bundozer will start using a cheat that Hans warns you about by saying,
it is gurgling in preparation. Watch out!
If you then fail to damage the boss before the next round, the bundozer will start casting a mass supernova that will take out 33, 66, or 99% of all wizards' total health. So if you really want this badge, one of the easier strategies to guarantee you get down to 1% health is to wait for the bundozer to use supernova and take 99% of all the wizard's health away, and then that same round instruct your healer to heal one of your wizards back to full health, thus meeting the requirements of the badge. The main challenge here is timing the cheats correctly with your healer and not having everyone at 1% health die before you can be healed back to 100% health, so this might take a while and some luck to pull off. This badge entry is just kind of a fun and unique challenge to try while still requiring a lot of skill and preparation to pull off. But just to complicate things further, as I was researching for this video, it appears there may be some evidence that this badge is actually glitched, so it may be even harder to get because even if you meet the requirements, the badge may not pop for you, so attempt this one with caution. Number 4, Brainbasher. Oh boy, we're starting to get into the big leagues with this next badge, which involves the boss Medulla, who is the final boss in the first part of Imperia. And this guy is just generally a tough boss fight to begin with. Among the many cheats from Medulla's brainwashed allies, Medulla himself can confuse your wizard, which can cause unfortunate accidents like your wizard AoEing your friendly team rather than the enemy. He also has the spell Aftershock, which acts like Earthquake to remove all your charms, and once his allies are defeated, he will remove any feints or other negative wards or charms, making it harder to build up damage to kill him. Unfortunately, Medulla also just doesn't really drop anything that interesting besides Cabal gear, which can actually be bought easily from the bazaar, so most people defeat him once and move on, making it hard to find a team to fight him consistently. And for the Brainbasher badge, you'll need to be fighting him a lot. Yeah, to earn this badge, you'll need to defeat Medulla an excruciating 1,000 times. It honestly gives me a migraine just thinking about this. The one small positive is that the developers recently added challenge modes to certain dungeons, including Medulla, to allow for players to tackle an easier, story-focused version of him and leave his original cheats for the challenge version. But I'm not totally sure if both count toward the 1,000 defeats you need for the badge or just the challenge version. So if anyone can confirm either way for me, let me know in the comments. This might make what seems like an almost impossible challenge into more of an obnoxious grindfest, so there may be some small hope for players looking to earn this badge. However, let's be honest, the true respect goes toward those who earned the badge before they nerfed Medulla for the standard mode. Number 3, Fellspawn Master. Get ready, because for this badge, you're going to need a lot of persistence and flexibility with your battle strategies, and you're going to be getting infinitely familiar with Fellspawn, the stone skeleton key boss from the catacombs. Now, Fellspawn on his own isn't the worst boss ever to deal with. His main annoying cheats involve summoning lots of tentacles as minions, polymorphine, mana burning, casting debuffs on your wizards, and finally setting a damage cap of 9,999, so you can't just blade up and one-shot him. However, to earn the Fellspawn Master badge, you're going to have to do more than just defeat him a bunch. You'll have to instead meet a bunch of increasingly difficult requirements because to get this badge, you'll actually need to get 5 other badges first. Yes, unfortunately, the Fellspawn Master badge will only pop for you once you get every single other Fellspawn badge, including Fellspawn Striker, Fellspawn Foe, Fellspawn Bane, Fellspawn Adversary, and Fellspawn's Nightmare, and all of them aren't exactly a walk in the park to earn. So to quickly summarize, for Fellspawn Striker, you'll need to defeat Fellspawn in 3 rounds or fewer, which is no easy feat considering the 9,999 damage cap, and he has 46,000 health. Fellspawn's Foe asks you to defeat Fellspawn without any wizard dying, which is a little more doable, but is partially down to luck and the makeup of your team. Fellspawn Bane requires you to defeat Fellspawn solo, which is going to be incredibly difficult for the average player considering all of Fellspawn's cheats combined with the aggro from both Fellspawn and all his tentacle minions focused on your wizard alone means you're not going to last more than a few rounds. Fellspawn Adversary requires you to defeat Fellspawn without blades or traps, which sounds like a pain since you'll really only have sun enchants, auras, and bubbles to boost your damage, but at least it doesn't have any other time restraints. And finally, Fellspawn's Nightmare requires you to defeat Fellspawn with all wizards at high health the entire match. Now what does high health mean exactly? Well, the developers have kept rather tight-lipped about that detail, so you might want to assume above 90% to be safe. So if even one wizard takes a harder hit during the fight, you failed this one, because everyone has to have high health the entire match, not just at the end. So this one can really come down to luck. High resist might also give you a bit of a boost with keeping your health up though. Anyway, if you manage to pull off all these very different and challenging trials, you'll gain yourself all 5 lesser badges and finally gain the 6th and final badge to become a true Fellspawn Master. And hey, like I mentioned earlier, you might as well grab his animus as well while you're here and make him into a house guest. I hear he's a ton of fun at parties. Number 2, Undead Executioner. Do you like murdering innocent undead? Like a zombie apocalypse worth of undead? Then the Undead Executioner badge might be the thing for you. The only teensy tiny requirement is that you beat a measly 20,000 of them and you're good to go. This badge is a pure slogfest that is just nauseating to even consider attempting in my opinion. If you're trying this solo and are able to pull at least 2 mobs at a time, that's still 10,000 fights you'll need to do before getting the badge. And the best case scenario is farming with a group of friends where you can pull 4 undead mobs at a time, so it's only a mind-numbing 5,000 fights total. What a bargain! Seriously though, the only positive about this badge is that according to the wiki, there are 556 different enemies in Wiz that are categorized as undead and would likely count toward the badge, so during your grindfest you can always try swapping to a different mob once in a while to try to help alleviate the sheer boredom of this challenge, because grinding mobs in Wiz quickly devolves into the equivalent of watching paint dry. You have to be seriously committed to pull this one off, and anyone who has may need to get some therapy. Number 1. Badge to Ill. Okay people, let me be clear about something real quick. I'm a completionist when it comes to doing side quests in Wiz. I do every side quest available in every world, but there is one single side quest that I will never do again. One that was so frustrating and so irritating to complete that once I finally finished it, I told myself I would never put myself through that hell again. That side quest features the location Beastman Fight Club. Can you guess where I'm going with this? Our last entry, Badge to Ill, requires you to beat the Beastman Fight Club dungeon 100 times, and I honestly think I'd rather abracadabra all my wizards than be forced to do this. There are 3 fights in this dungeon with 3 different bosses, culminating with the final battle, which has all 3 together at once, and all of them have the most obnoxious cheats I've ever experienced. Mike D, the first boss, applies feints to your side like crazy and punishes you for blading and healing. Adrock heals his minions and can straight up one-shot multiple wizards if you don't meet very specific requirements related to his cheats. And finally, there's Yauk, whose sole purpose seems to be to drive you insane. He removes negative charms from his allies, shields everyone, and removes single and mass wards from your side, but the key problem is that he prevents you from subverting some of the other boss's cheats, which can have disastrous effects. To stop Adrock, the second boss, from one-shotting you, for instance, you have to place a trap on him every single round, or he'll summon a minion, which 2 rounds later will straight up kill one of your wizards. However, in the third fight, Yauk automatically shifts any traps you've placed on Adrock back to your side, making it that much harder to stack up any damage against him unless you use Indemnity to protect the trap. Thankfully, even if Yauk removes the trap, it will still prevent Adrock's cheat from activating, but every round both of them are alive, you're essentially boosting their damage against your team rather than the other way around, because your side ends up getting the trap stacks. Essentially, when all 3 bosses team up, you're punished for trapping, blading, healing, warding, and debuffing, and in constant danger of being one-shot if you don't keep trapping Adrock, so there's not many options left to you. Your best bet is to defeat Yauk first, then the other 2, but good luck even getting that far. Last time I ran this dungeon with a competent full team, we got stuck in the final boss fight for over an hour, and if you die and come back, all 3 bosses have extremely punishing cheats for those returning to the battle or joining late. I legit had to go lie down after finally beating the fight because I got a full-on migraine trying to finish this dungeon. I have never hated any bosses as much as I hate these 3. So when this badge requires you to beat this stupid dungeon 100 times, I'm out. I quit. I'm uninstalling the game. Out of all the top 10 badges, this is the worst one of all, hands down. Bartleby protect anyone crazy enough to attempt this. We don't talk about Beastman Fight Club.
You do not talk about Fight Club.
Alright, my fellow wizards, those are my top 10 hardest badges in Wizard101. 2 honorable mentions that didn't quite make this video but are nonetheless also extremely hard badges to get are the Storm Chaser badge for defeating Titan's Trident 100 times and the Beast Moon Hero for winning 1000 Beast Moon matches. Definitely let me know what you think is the hardest badge in Wiz in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and as always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing.